You know, uh, I'm just gonna pretend that anything that's in the chat before now, not actually in the chat. Yep, definitely all AI. Oh, 100%. Y'all are killing me. Bruh. What the heck? Let's W. There's a very good thing to know. A pain in the but it is what it is. Oh, I saw your text. Well, I don't have an answer. Haven't given much thought. Yeah, game dev, it's really not complicated. A lot of coding is genuinely just like logic. Most of it is just logic, you know, like all these red nodes are always going to be Boolean, so you know, it's just saying if this Boolean is true, do this. If it's false, do this. That's what genuinely a lot of coding really is, my opinion. You're basically just like just program the way you talk it out and say, oh, if I press jump, then I want to add force upwards or add impulse. And boom, you've got a basic jump. Just doing that. You'll be as mid of a game dev as me. Possibly interested. I'm not gonna say no, but again, I just haven't really given it any thought, so I don't know my actual thoughts yet. But yeah, it's not common. It's just like a completely new video game. Like somebody going into Valorant would think that Valorant's complicated, and yeah, to a newcomer, Valorant is complicated, but just the more you play it, the more you learn to understand the sound cues and the agents, their abilities, and how to counteract, how to play. Like it's same thing. It's just not complicated losing or learning any other, like, anything. You know, learning a new sport. I thought football was complicated at first, but honestly, once you sit down and understand football's I'm behind on my sleep. Partially why I'm not really yapping as much, and I'm vibe coding because I'm tired from vibing. But obviously, don't mimic that vibe. I think he's fully aware of the power setting. This... Oh well. Instantly, obviously, yeah. Still works. Kind of face this way. Oh. Alright. Oh, yeah, that's a... I have... Oh, cool. Alright. Oh, goodness. Actually did not take it. I thought it would. We can now get on ziplines both ways. So, easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. Everything works. So now I just need to add an option. Question is, what do I actually call the game? Music is pretty loud compared to what I normally. And I'm also not talking as loud as I normally do. I'm thinking for the directions we have both forward and backwards. I feel like that makes the most sense. And then all we really need to do is, when we get the external movement data, I do not like yeah, all we need to do is cool. All right, let's try it. If I can select the zipline, goodness gracious. All right, so what we're gonna have is the curved ziplines directions both. This left zipline is only gonna be forward, and this right one is gonna be back. So in theory, we should be able to go either direction on this one. This one, no matter what, will only let us go up, and then this one should only let us go down. So let's test it. This indeed does go the direction we're looking. Cool. And even if I'm looking down on this one, yep, forces me to go up. As well as, obviously, if I'm looking up on it. And then this one forces me to go down. So. Cool. All right, we've got directional ziplines. Perfect. Most vertical ziplines will only be vertical, but at least in our maps. So we have bidirectional. Now the last thing we need is the start and end stop. And these actually should be fairly easy to code. Because all we have to do is this function, we just edit this value. So let's do it. Start distance, I guess. Probably a better name for that. I don't know what I'm gonna call it though. And this. And then just to showcase this, somebody give me, or two people in the chat, each individually give me a color. All right, we got purple for the start location. What are we getting? What are we getting for the end location? Somebody else, give me a color. Red. Perfect. I was gonna do red and blue, but red and purple works perfect. So let's go 7 for this. Copy those settings. Alrighty, so we go into the construction script now. What we can do is we can take our start distance. That's what I want to do. Start distance and end distance. I want to take this. We want to set world location. Yeah, when we do the art pass, because again, that's probably going to be a separate stream. When we do the art pass, we'll come through and literally clean up all the code, make some reusable functions. That way I'm not doing the same code, copying and pasting it everywhere. We want the spline. We want to do get location at distance. So spline. We want to take the start distance, world space. Want to plug that in, and then the end location is going to be similar but not quite the same. We want to get length, and we want to subtract the end distance from the length. That should give us the distance from the end. And then we can place a location. And bada bing, bada boom. Now you can see we've got these two little spheres. The red one at the top, purple one at the bottom. So now, if, for example, we see the start distance, as we change this, you see the red sphere changing. So let's put the start distance at like 200. We won't worry about an end distance for this. And then this one, for example, let's say we want this end distance to cut us off right at the start of this turn. So we should be able to take this end distance. And it is very, very slowly moving. There we go, right there. Now, alternatively, I could do this in a slightly more user interface friendly way, where it's done when I say it's, in theory, one more. Basically, we're working on the start and end stops right now, and then we need to do the banking of the player camera and whatever on turns, but I haven't even begun to think about that. And then the other thing I want to do is I want to utilize the player's velocity when they enter the spline, because right now it just basically sets your velocity to 0 as soon as you interact with it. Whereas, like, if I show you, if I run and sprint into this, you would expect me to like use the sprinting velocity that I'm going into it to carry into the zipline. But if I like run and sprint into this, you see I just like lose all my velocity as soon as I interact with it, and then that just doesn't feel good. Like standing still, this feels good. So I'm gonna have to find a way to use the user's like velocity to map into it. But again, I haven't really thought about that. I need to figure out how I want to go about like smoothing, like slowing the player down. So if you are going on a one-directional zipline and your velocity is the opposite direction, it needs to slow you down before it can accelerate you upwards. But again, need to figure out how to do, figure out how I want to do that. And then that stream will do all of this. And then the zipline art honestly shouldn't be that much, but that might be a separate stream. I don't really consider the zipline art as part of these 8 hours. The 8 hours I normally, like, for my, that's what these numbers are on these things, is how long I think it'll take me. That's purely code. I don't really count art into code time because I don't know, excuse me, I don't know how to judge art time quite yet. So this is basically, we're running on 6 hours and 6.5 hours, give or take, for working on Ziplines. So I technically have an hour and a half till I am over my estimated time. But anyways, now we can use these start and end stops to actually do something. So if we come into get distance along spline, bruh, please no. Yeah, if we're going backwards, then we want to use the start distance value. And if we are going towards the end, we want end, or we want to use spline length minus. And I just realized one thing, just to be safe for design, I need to go into the construction script. And before I apply this, I actually need to do a thing. Basically, the start distance should never be able to go below 0. Actually, it should just never be able to go below 0 or the zipline length. It should always stay in between. Because otherwise, I'm sure that would mess up a lot of the code. So I just want to do the same thing for end distance, amp it between those values before we actually apply those locations. But basically, this, after we finish what we have today, mostly the zipline should be finished, and I'll be happy with starting to go throw them into some maps and actually getting them like set up on maps and getting their properties set up and their speeds and all that. The other stuff is basically just game feel. Like, once we finish these start and end stops today, it's basically finished. Like, I'm gonna consider these mostly like they're functional. These will be essentially identically functional to how they were in Gen 2. This stuff is just game feel. Like, yeah, the smoother entrance based off of the velocity, that's purely a game feel thing. That would just feel better. Same thing with all this stuff. This is just, you know, masking out the zip line when you're near it with the dither, stuff like that. So that's purely game feel. So that's why today we're basically just focusing on the getting bi-directional zip lines, which we already finished, and the start and end stops, which in theory as of now are finished. So right there is that red dot. So as soon as we hit that red dot, we should, yep, we get a I almost said the wrong word. That would have been bad. I just said the wrong word. I'm actually going to say if this is less than or... Please don't. I don't need that. But what? Please, no. strange. It seems like... Seems like I almost stopped for a couple frames before I actually get ejected off of it. I mean, this isn't exactly the intended thing, but because this is a downwards only thing, and our entrance point is below our stop, or our technically our stopping point for going downwards, it's like, it's lerping me to it and then immediately kicking me off. Technically, it's just not supposed to let me interact with it at all, but yeah, this one should still work perfectly. Yep, and then this one, if we get into it, should be able to go down, and it auto ejects us at the bottom. Cool. So trying to figure out exactly how I want to do this. If it's a one-directional zipline like this, do I even want to allow you to interact with the zipline if you're past the end point of that one direction zipline? Like, you know, this zipline, because it's a downwards zipline, when I get to that point, when I get to that purple point, it ejects me automatically. That way, you know, you don't get teleported into the floor. But what should happen, or like, I guess to you guys as the players, what do you expect to happen if you interact with it like at the end, like past the zipline point? Should you even be able to interact with it? Should it do like it kind of does now, where like it kind of just I mean, obviously I don't want this to happen either, but like, I just don't think you should even be able to interact with it at all. But that could be confusing as to why you can't interact with it, so I might have to like disable the lights past this point. If you're past this point, I feel like that would be fairly intuitive to just say that, yeah, past that end point, there's no lights on it. That's why you can't interact with it. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. And then the only other issue that I just realized is for a bi-directional zip line. We change this start. Basically, if I interact with this anywhere past the start distance, only if this is bi-directional, if I interact with it anywhere between the start of this and the start distance, it should force, like, if I'm looking this way, it should just force me to travel that way because I'm at the start of the zip line. It should just force me to travel down to the other direction of it. So let's go do that real quick. That's very easy to do. Because we can just do find location, closest forward location. Or no, sorry, find distance. Distance. Get distance belongs to line. I guess we have to do it like this. We have to find the closest location. And then we can find the distance. We can check. Yeah, I guess we just do a quick branch check. If this distance is less than the start distance, or equal to it, honestly. Less than or equal to it, then we will force go forward. If it's not, then we want to compare and check if it's greater than or equal to the end distance. And if it is, then we want to force them to go backwards. And then if it's not either of those, then we just the normal camera direction checking. There we go. That should be all the special cases. So we can still do this, and then we eject at that purple point. And even if I'm looking this direction, and I get onto it, it'll force me to go down the other way. And then same thing where I interacted with it above that red point, and it auto forced me to go down it. So and then yeah, this issue of being able to interact with it even past that endpoint on a one direction zipline, that's something that we'll have to do with the when I do the interaction, or disable the interaction if I'm currently writing it, because I'm already going to be messing around with the interaction system for these couple things. So let me just write that down though. Disable interaction if past start/end point on one. Well, I told myself this stream was only probably going to be an hour long, and we are literally just on an hour, and we completed everything I wanted to. So honestly, pretty good. And this will be a mesh. So this will be kind of like a little mesh that sits on the zipline or something to kind of just show and indicate to you that, you know, there's like, that's where you're going to kind of like get ejected off of. And if it's a 2-direction zipline, it'll kind of be like a cone. That way, like, your zipline pulley can kind of like go over it, but then from this direction it'll stop. I don't know. We were talking about this the other day with some of my friends, and just kind of like discussing like what would make sense for a mesh that I could put on there. But again, that's the art pass. So, I mean, yeah. Even though we're at an hour, not feeling too terribly tired yet, despite being on 3 hours of sleep for the last like 48 hours. So that's great. We are gonna, I guess, just go through some of the maps that need the zip lines and throw them on them. And just kind of actually get some properties set up on these maps. As you can see, I'm on 3 hours of sleep for the last 48 hours. I think 48. I think that math tracks. My buddy Savage, who was just in the chat earlier, I don't know if he still is. I'm one of his best men at his wedding, so we had to go look at suits yesterday, and so my sleep was absolutely cooked. But it is what it is. We ball, as the kids say. Trust me though, I pulled 24-hour days like I probably shouldn't, but I do. Y'all can ask Sindred. You better still be in the chat, otherwise I'm back. F it, we ball. That's what I'm saying. Plus, I want to get better about saying, "Oh yeah, we're gonna stream," and then actually, actually streaming. Like, I've done that so many times where I'll be like, "Yeah, we're having a stream tonight." I'm just too tired, and that is like 90% of the reason why streams get canceled. Is just I'm just way too exhausted to either stream or just stay awake. Like, sometimes I can stay awake for another 3 or 4 hours, but I don't always have the energy to necessarily stream. But this zipline direction will be forward, and the start distance will be, I think 250 is what felt best. And then for this zipline speed, we're gonna go with like 15. Yeah. You got engaged. Not to me, but whatever. His fiance was actually in the chat a couple days ago. She said what's up. So that's pretty cool. Nice of her. Oh shoot, I need to set the end point too. Actually, what am I doing? I don't need a start point on this because it's a One Direction zipline. One Direction. That's what makes it beautiful. I really need to set up a way for me to spawn. Unreal has a default thing where you can spawn at wherever the camera is when you click play. The issue is because I have a custom game mode set up. I don't know if I can access those details in. Yeah. That's a pretty good ejection height. me see. I think it feels good. Might be a little far. Maybe like... yeah. He thinks that'll work. I'm gonna give myself the thruster pack. I'm tired of using the... Actually, I'm gonna give myself the grappler. Look at all these new options that I've added. You can now change your health and shield multiplier, your damage, your weapons. Slowly getting more and more. I'm gonna do another ping in the announcements channel. I have a Google form that I pinged everyone asking what game mode options they would like in the game mode, like the custom game options. That way you can make whatever, you know, crazy wacky custom game modes you want. I have like a Google Sheets of all the stuff that I've written down from what everyone has said, but I need to do another ping for that. That way people can, you see, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't care for the big head game modes. Like Splitgate had it, and I don't know. I just never really cared for it. Like now, that's not to say I won't be adding it. Heavy mouse delay, the higher settings, like if you put it on ultra, is that what you're talking, like, or are you talking about like, because I'm gonna assume that that's just FPS, because me personally, I get like, I play on ultra and I get like 200 frames and there's no mouse delay at all. And I know Cora, he plays on all max settings in Onyx and he gets like 300 frames and there's no mouse delay. Even when he was like limiting himself to like 60 frames, there was no mouse delay. So my first initial thought is that could just be a frame rate issue. Obviously, feel free to correct me. Let me know what frames you're getting on those higher settings. But to me, that just sounds like a frame rate issue at first glance. If it's not a frame rate issue, then I can take a look at that at a later time. I'd be curious, even though you play on a 40 something, I'd be curious if you go enable the FPS counter, and because the big thing with Unreal 2 is Unreal is just very CPU bound. So, and you would think increasing the graphics would only affect that. It would only affect the graphics, but it also affects the CPU for some reason. I don't know. So it could actually, I don't know, but that's what I'd say. If you could like, yeah, if you could like turn on the FPS counter, see what kind of FPS you're getting. But other than that, I definitely need to, there's going to be a whole settings menu, like, heck, that's one of the things in this list is to do the settings menu. Damn. Interesting. Man, I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know where to look at for that. But that would be something that when I start working on the settings menu, you know, I will actually be asking about performance and input and, you know, stuff like that. But that's, I'll keep that in mind as I look around some other things. I know there's a command that at one point lowered, like it felt like it lowered input lag, but I'm just using Unreal's default input. So, I mean, it's not like I'm the one coding the input or anything. So if it is truly an input issue, I don't know how much there is that I can do, unless there's some kind of command line, like command that I can enable and disable at some point. Yeah, no, that's, I appreciate you letting me know, because I've never actually heard of any kind of input lag thing until now, so I'll keep that in mind. I'll see if I can do a little bit of research or something on my breaks at work tonight, but yeah, that's interesting. I'll definitely be keeping that in mind. Mr. Timmy Boy has been wanting this one in the map, or in the game for a while. He freaking loves this map for some reason. Oh gosh, I'm just gonna reset the location rotation. Okay, well, once you add more shit, I will play it. You just let me know, my good sir, and it'll happen. But alrighty, well, thanks for coming. Yeah, I'm excited to play test these things. So hopefully, you know, a week or two, when we should have a playtest ready. We'll see though. It will not be 6 months later. Well, 6 months later for the public playtest, in which then the community can join. But for an internal playtest, in theory, I would like to do the end of this week. I don't know how viable that's going to be though, because I want to get the grav lifts in as well, and I want to record the gameplay video. So my goal was to, as soon as I finish Ziplines and grav lifts, do a gameplay test, because a lot of the maps that we have need both grav lifts, launch pads, and like they need all of the map elements. So now that I have all these back in, you know, we can actually go and play the maps the way they are intended to. It could be a little higher, be like 100. Yeah, feels good to me. All right, next map, Perdition. Finally get rid of these launch pads over here. Oh gosh, I forgot I built this thing in the sky. Yeah, okay. Go. Yeah, cool. All right, that feels good. Bro, what am I doing? I'm a sweat with my own grappling hook already. Oh, I almost made it. There we go. That's what I was looking for. All right. Anyways, Cathedral, I don't think has any zip lines. Concrete does. Oh yeah, that feels good. Now see, right now the start and end distance is directly set by just a simple value, but like, okay, let's say you're creating like a curved zip line. Depending on how it works, it might not. Well, honestly, I guess that's fine. Oh. Oh my goodness, I like mantle grappled and gained so much velocity. That was kind of cool. See, this is why I get no work done on this game, because I just end up vibe swinging, vibe movementing. Whoa, that's crazy. There's so much Onyx tech that I didn't even know existed. Apparently if you hit ramps at a certain speed, you'll like ramp jump them like classic Quake. Interesting. Didn't know that was a feature of this movement component. See, right now, oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, I need to stop. I'm way too good at this. Oh, right. I forgot. This is, yeah, somebody was saying that the grapple acceleration needed to be turned up, and I'm thinking I may have turned it up too much. Like, this is fun, but, like, the amount of speed I can get is kind of crazy. There's certain aspects of this grapple that I like. But, like, this ain't Titanfall 2, and I'm not going for... Like, I just did a tweak to the movement that stops you from being able to gain momentum by chaining slides. And at first, I didn't like the idea, because I was like, I do like the idea of being able to chain momentum by, you know, build momentum, I should say, by chaining your, like, slide hops and whatever. And at first, I didn't like the fact that I had to remove it, because there were some unintended movement bugs that were happening because of it, that you could just gain some insane speed in literally like 2 seconds, which most people would be like, oh, leave that in. You gotta remember, I'm making a game for the public here, you know. So I can imagine Infection though like this. Unlimited grapples, and last man standing just basically has to vibe swing around the map. Yeah. See, the issue is the general public will complain about certain things. Hell, I was complaining about it because it's like, if you're getting shot at by someone who just comes flying around the corner at Mach 40 and you have no idea why they came flying around the corner at Mach 40, that's bad game design, in my opinion. I feel like the game should be readable. You should be able to understand what players in the match are doing. And there should be a limit on how quickly you should be able to gain velocity. You shouldn't just be able to spam a certain number of keys and just immediately gain, you know, hundreds of meters of velocity. That just is not a balanced game. That doesn't seem like a very fun game at that point. But like, I hated the fact that I had to do that change at first, but then I was like, well, Onyx's maps aren't really designed for you to build velocity. With Onyx's movement, I definitely want you to be able to chain stuff together, and that's why I want to do that whole zipline update where it takes your velocity that you're going into the zipline with and uses that to actually affect how you get on the zipline and how much velocity you have on the zipline. So I'm starting to think now, after grappling around like this and getting speed and going up these zip lines, I'm starting to think, even if you're going faster than the zipline speed, I'm thinking if you enter the zipline, let's say a zipline speed is 15 meters a second. If you enter the zipline with 20 meters of velocity in the same direction, I feel like you should be allowed to go 20 meters a second on the zipline, and it just like slowly decelerates you to 15 meters a second. Because I feel like if it caps your velocity at the zipline speed and then you like jump off of it, you know, using the zipline to like gain some height or something, or gain some distance, it feels kind of bad to just lose that velocity instantly. So I'm thinking, yeah, if you enter the zipline with more speed than the zipline has to offer, then you will actually maintain that speed unless you jump off, or like you'll maintain that speed and you'll slowly be decelerated. Maybe over the course of like 2 seconds or something, depending on what the zipline's speed is and what your speed is. It'll have like a deceleration rate. I definitely need to turn up the slide friction. That way you can drift around corners a little easier. Yeah, because I can't even drift around that corner, which I want to. Yeah, at first I hated that idea, but then I realized Onyx is like, this isn't Titanfall. You're not supposed to be able to necessarily build momentum. I want there to be the chance of you to build momentum, you know, by using thruster pack and grapple and launch pads and, you know, all the movement stuff in the game. Is this playing Installation 01? Oh look, it is playing Installation 01. That's crazy. I don't know if I'm allowed to stream this. Sure, we'll just do this. But yeah, I want like momentum chaining to be smooth, but this isn't Titanfall, so it's not, Onyx's movement isn't about building momentum, it's about more so being able to just chain it together smoothly. So like, I do want a level of movement, but not as high of a level of movement as like Titanfall. That's why I don't have anything like wall running. Oh my gosh, that was clean. All right, I need to use the plans on other maps. I don't know if Shroud has any. Actually, I know it does, but we don't really play on that. Speedway does not have any zip lines. Dig Site does not. None of those are even ready. And Transport doesn't. So okay, all the maps that have zip lines, well, have them now. So, and what I need to do is now go throw concrete and concrete and face off back into the packaging rotation. But all right, well, this should be good. Ziplines are nearly finished. Like I said, the last two things are just kind of game feel and polish for the code wise. Obviously getting the art in there will be obviously some polish, or not the code, getting the art in there will obviously be polish, but and this stuff is polished too because it's all about the dithering. So basically I'd go as far as to consider zipline gameplay is finished. So we might not have a zipline stream in a while because I might just do these on my own time whenever I feel motivated enough to do them. Once I think about the code more, like I'll probably think about this at work tonight because I think this is the #1 game feel thing. I think getting this to work is going to be key to having the ziplines feel really smooth to you. So yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna go hit up my buddy and we're probably gonna do a quick play test on some of these maps just to get his opinion on how they feel, and he'll probably say the same thing that I'm saying with these things. But yeah, on that note, I think I'm gonna end stream here. Appreciate y'all for joining. I'm gonna go do probably a quick test and then I'm gonna sleep until I have to go to work tonight, so I'm hopefully gonna sleep for way too long. So yeah, I will. At some point. We'll see though. But anyways, appreciate you all for joining. Honestly, pretty successful stream. Basically went exactly as I thought it would, which is good. Exactly. Very productive for me being sleep deprived. Yeah. We might not stream Ziplines again. I might call Ziplines done here, because gameplay is basically fully finished for Ziplines. It's just polish. So we'll see. Next stream will probably end up being grav lifts. I want to get those working. So hopefully another stream this week. At the very earliest, tomorrow, if I do get enough sleep today and I feel well rested tomorrow. Maybe a stream tomorrow. If not, probably Wednesday. But in theory, if my sleep is good the rest of the week, we could have a stream every day, but I doubt that that's going to happen. Because I'm also working on other code stuff behind the scenes. So, on that note, yeah, thanks for watching. I will catch you guys in the next one.